Welcome to this Dead by Daylight video that is strictly about Dead by Daylight, and we will only discuss things pertaining to Dead by Daylight. But real quick, let's check in on the Destiny community.
Line them up, baby, line them up. Fucking line them the fuck up. We break 200,000, it is ass.
Good golly, Miss Molly. With all the layoffs going on at Bungie, they have brought an end to Destiny 2's development and are focusing all their manpower on Marathon in the efforts to turn it into their next Destiny 2. And that's kind of crazy to me, because Destiny is a franchise that had every intention of going the distance. But if you went back in time and asked Dead by Daylight's devs if they thought their game would be still getting updates 10 years from now, they either would have said, oh, no way, that's crazy, or of course it will still be getting updates, it's an industry plan. It's especially surprising given the genre DBD is a part of. If a child were to pop out the baby maker already addicted to crack, they'd have a longer life expectancy than your average asymmetrical game. Which I guess isn't saying much, because it's gonna be a long time before the baby can actually act on their addiction. Because just being addicted to crack can't kill you. I don't know, could a 7-year-old get crack? It was a bad example, but you get what I'm saying. Asymmetrical games are like goldfish. I should have went with goldfish. Why'd I go crack baby? Heck, Death Garden, another game made by Behavior, had a pretty similar gameplay loop, and it tanked. So now we gotta have this very, well, we don't have to, but I'm gonna do it, this very toxic conversation where it's like, well, what did DBD do right that Destiny didn't do? Both communities wouldn't always be happy with their game. Nobody had their life together here. From where I'm standing, the only fatal mistake that Bungie made was being owned by Sony, which just seems to only go bad. I know the thinking here is, oh, we made good games before, and now we have the backing to make even better games. But ever since Microsoft's last bloodbath, it's hard to think of studio buyouts as anything other than a death sentence. All right, team, the game's coming along great. We just need a little more funding. Any ideas? I know. Let's all ingest rat poison. Yeah, whoopee, rat poison. Woo! Yay! Yay, rat poison! Yay! Yay! Whoopee! Woo! I love rat poison. Woo! Rat poison's my favorite. Woo! Well, your eyes if you want to, but it's the same result. If anything, DBD could probably learn a thing or two from Destiny. Emphasis on the two. Before we really dig in, I gotta address the haters, because a whole herd of elephants just came charging into this room. Aside from the obvious financial risk that comes with building a whole new game from the ground up, there's also the issue of losing all your licensed characters. Convincing a property holder to let you use their IP is no small feat, and as I'm sure Behavior did not get the rights to use these characters in perpetuity, most of them probably aren't making the jump from DBD 1 to DBD 2. Sure, some of them might re-up for a sequel. I think Ghostface is just down to clown. But a lot of these guys are gonna slip through the cracks. I guess it comes down to how much do you think the third-party characters matter to the success of DBD? This cavalcade of classic crossover characters is a distinct part of Dead by Daylight's identity. But surely this game isn't completely reliant on the smash factor. Then again, other ASIMs don't have that crutch to rely on, and we all know how they end up. Even if you could secure all the licenses, it's just a bunch of extra legal fees for the sake of maintaining the roster you already have with DBD 1. So why even bother? I love the door part of Springtrap. Most survivor to killer relationships are either the basic chase or the more advanced killer applies negative effect, survivor has to go find a way to negate the negative effect. Springtrap lets survivors play FNAF, which is awesome. What sucks is if you're a FNAF fan and you want that experience in DBD, the only way to get it is to queue up as a survivor and hope you get matched against a Springtrap. The person that actually purchases and then locks in a Springtrap doesn't get that experience. But that's okay. Springtrap has a whole nother power in his kit to give him flavor. Brother, what does an axe have to do with Five Nights at Freddy's? I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked that. That is a foolish question. It was in a fan-made music video one time. Brother, that still sucks, though. You're still just pulling that out of your ass. And I know Scott Cawthon, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, was brought in to help brainstorm for the kit. And I'm glad. If you're gonna pull it out of anybody's ass, that's a very qualified ass to go digging in. But it's still an ass. The Hatchet and Springtraps kit feels very apart from the character and its theming. It feels more like there are these hard limitations to what is possible for a killer in DBD, and Scott was told to work within those boundaries. So he came up with something based on like tools that were already available. And this is true for a lot of games that last this long. It's harder to implement new mechanics, especially when we're talking about character kits. Smite 2, one of the first characters we got was Aladdin. And if you play Smite 1 for a couple years, and then the first time you get on Smite 2, you see somebody hop up on the wall and run across it, you're like, what the fuck? What? This game's crazy! When a game lasts too long, code starts to pile up on top of itself, and it gets harder to implement new mechanics. When Hi-Rez set out to make Smite 1, and when Behavior set out to make DBD, and when Bungie set out to make Destiny 1, they were just trying to make good games. But when Hi-Rez made Smite 2, and when Bungie made Destiny 2, they made future-proofed good game. And my concern is Behavior fell into the same trap that everybody falls into, that they didn't fully grasp how difficult a game is to develop after 10 years of development. How when you just try and update very basic things and fix very basic problems, 100 different leaks break out everywhere. And now there's all these holes you gotta patch up before the boat starts to sink. And so it encourages you to not try and make these huge big changes or add these crazy new mechanics, because it can break so much and there's 10 years of code you gotta dig through to find the problem. I believe the term is spaghetti code. Maybe that's not accurate. Maybe that's just for like poorly put together code. And that's not what I'm trying to imply. I'm sure Behavior did a very good job coding the game after 10 years. There's gotta be The Shining in there, brother. On theme? Next killer? So the main point I'm trying to make here is if they did make a DBD 2, maybe we would start to get not just more unique killers with more fitting kits to them and their identity, but also more interesting perks. Who knows what's being limited by that kind of walking on eggshells nature of adding content to Dead by Daylight. And you really don't know till there is a sequel, and then, you know, one of the first characters is Aladdin, and then you're like, oh, so Smite 1 really was holding the dev team back a little bit. You don't know how much a game needs a sequel until the sequel's out and the dev team has a fresh base to build on. In the beginning of Dead by Daylight, the killer release was pretty unique. You were getting new mechanics pretty consistently. And there's the argument that maybe they just hit a wall creatively, and sure, that could be possible. But when you compare it to other games that have gone through the same thing, usually studios give their game a sequel and a fresh start before that 10-year mark. Unless you're World of Warcraft. That's an anomaly. I don't get that. There are too many problems to justify actually doing a DB2. Mainly I'm talking about the licensing. And that, I don't think Behavior is willing to give that up. And maybe rightfully so. Maybe their player base would shrink a considerable bit. There are hardcore DBD players out there that once they find out they can't whoop the pig in the sequel, they're moving on. I can't play as Pedo Freddy, and for that reason, I'm out. Was he a pedophile in that movie? I didn't watch that movie, but I heard that was the case. I heard that's what was going on. Which, what are we doing?